And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at the expansion here, Mountains of Madness for Eldritch Horror. Now I'm a little bit behind in my Eldritch Horror expansion reviewing because, well, there's so much of it. And this was the first big box expansion that they added for us a couple years ago. And I've been doing the small box expansions first because they were able to get the content in more easily than these big ones. These big ones come with a whole extra board. And Fantasy Flight said that don't worry, this wasn't going to get like Omicron Horror where you have boards all over the place, that these would come into the board naturally. Okay, by naturally they mean you play a scenario that uses one of these boards. Okay, that's not a bad idea. And then this adds a lot more content. Let's take a look. All right, so the first thing, that's the coolest thing I think in this expansion, maybe not the coolest, but it comes with these action cards. Well, you're like, Tom, what? Who cares? Well, that's the reason it comes with these cards is because it gives you the new focus. There are new focus tokens involved in this expansion. You can use an action to get a focus token, and these can be used to re-roll. I like that. Sometimes you have that extra action that you don't know what to do with, and that's a good way to handle it. The game also comes with several new characters. All right, so here we have Daisy Walker and Finn Edwards, and let's see, Ursula Downs and Agnes Baker, who can get extra spells. That's a cool thing to have. I like how she's a waitress who can get extra spells. Don't mess with her at her restaurant. The lawyer here, where he can help people get rid of debts or detain conditions. I really like that guy, even if he does look like an old version of Popeye. The violinist here, she can spend clues and focus to get a skill of her choice. That's a pretty handy thing, although it is kind of annoying to give up clues. However, whenever she closes a gate, she gets a clue or focus. So she's one that I seriously consider at least. Tommy, besides having a fantastic name, this guy can move monsters away from him, and they can act as if there are no monsters. He's a protector, and then the handyman here can get assets and lets people re-roll dice. So some pretty cool characters. There's also two new main bad guys in this one. Ithaca, who looks kind of like a giant abominable snowman, and then Rise of the Elder Things. And I'm really not sure if it's like one Elder Thing or a bunch of them, but these Elder Things are one of the main features of this game. Ithaca's cool, right? He's around there. But the Elder Gods are a way to bring a new feature into this game. Now, before I get to that, before I talk a little bit about that, I will mention that the game comes with a whole bunch of new cards and things, and we have some unique assets that come in this game. Some of these unique assets, there's a whole pile of different unique assets. There's some more of these unique items and then regular items. I want to show you one in particular. I really like the Gambler's Dice. Not to mention it's cool to see some dice on fire, but they're very useful because you always roll 2 dice when doing a test, and if you roll matching, you can re-roll. I don't know, I just find that sort of thing cool. There's also some new conditions. We got funding and infection. Infection brings almost that idea of like the thing. You're infected, but what is it? Hypothermia, because hey, it's cold. Hunted. Hunger, which I guess makes you want to eat other people. So there's all different ones. I even add some more cards for the original conditions. There's also new spells. In particular, I like banishment. And there's also some of these unique assets. There's different types of them. So like if you can make a courier run, you do this task, and when you're done with it, you'll flip it over, and each one of these unique assets will have different things happening on them. Like here's an old journal. You can read and find out what happens in this old journal. And this is something different than another card from an old journal. So there's also more of the different types of cards, and add them to the piles so that you can have some of this, more variety in the game, and that's always a good thing. But we want to talk about this new board. There are some prelude cards. This is something new. Well, it's in this and other expansions where you can draw one of these at the beginning of the game, and it's kind of like set something up for the game. So Rumors from the North, everyone gets hypothermia. You can take hypothermia to get a clue and focus. There's different things that will happen. Unwilling Sacrifice, everyone can spend 2 health to get a unique asset. That's some pretty cool things. And I like these. You can do it randomly, but I'd rather just pick one. But Doomsdayer from Antarctica will bring into effect the new board, as well as if you use Rise of the Elder Things. I do find it a little ironic that the big bad boss god, the Ithaquah, the Windwalker, who's walking in a snowstorm, isn't involved with this, but it's the Rise of the Elder Things. But anyhow, they bring this secondary board into play, which you can see part of this board is connected to Antarctica. You can come here, and then you have to go across these uncharted areas. And so some of the characters have an ability to go across uncharted areas. And there's all kinds of different things at each of these. And each of them also comes with their own deck of cards to have different events happen in them. The Snowy Mountains, the City of the Elder Things, and the Plateau of Lang. And then over here, the Miskatonic Outpost, Lake Camp, Frozen Waste. So this brings that whole, I'm up in the Antarctic and there's different things happening. How am I going to handle them? There are different adventures that can be had up there. These are new decks of cards that you go through, and you can get rewards by accomplishing something like discovering an ancient civilization or gathering provisions, and they will go in different orders. And you have to decide whether it's worth dealing with these while you're dealing with pretty much everything else that's going on. And so this is added. You don't have to have this in the game. You can basically ignore it if you're not using the Rise of the Elder Gods or that Prelude, but it's here, and it's just one extra board with some new locations. There's other things included with the game. There's a bunch of mean, nasty monsters. So if you like monsters, there's certainly a lot of them in this expansion. And of course, both of the bad guys come with their own decks of cards, and all sorts of craziness is going on. So I've just reviewed both this expansion and Under the Pyramids. They're both big box expansions. They both add an extra board. For me personally, I like Under the Pyramids better. Comparing the two, the reason I like Under the Pyramids a little bit better is because I like the pyramid theme a lot, and I like the characters in that one slightly better. But honestly, that's the only difference. Both of these expansions have a lot of cool stuff in them. They have a lot more variety. Now, if you just want more variety for Eldritch Horror, then buy one of the small expansions because they're cheaper and they offer a lot of variety. This does too. This has the focus tokens, so this one has that edge up, and I really like focus tokens. I use them in all games of Eldritch Horror that I play. And this one does have it is cool. I do like going to the other board. But I'm not sure I like that, that other board shows up randomly, so it's just like, hey, we're going to play with the other board. And sometimes, because it drives me nuts, I'll play Ithaquah and then use the prequel card to make sure that he's on the, you're going up at Antarctica. Now, I think Antarctica makes the game harder because you have to get there, go up there, and deal with that stuff. And meanwhile, everything else on Earth is still problematic and getting destroyed and all that jazz. So, either way, lots of cool content in this one. I mean, I'm saying the same thing I almost say about all these Eldritch Horror expansions. If you're interested in that, go for it. I don't know that the cost of this one justifies the extra board expansion, but it is pretty neat. It almost feels like you're playing a modified version, and I do like that the boards, I never feel like the game is too huge, but it still feels very adventurous, and there's so much content now that I barely ever run into the same thing twice. Really cool. Check it out. That is Mountains of Madness. Dice Tower Judgment. Excellent.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!